Where in the world is Conor McGregor? Ever since that first fight was announced between him and Michael Chandler, there's been nothing but drama and controversy, whatever you can think of going on with that guy. The first episode of The Ultimate Fighter that aired between him and Michael Chandler coaching was all the way back in May of 2023. It's been well over a year since that fight was first announced. And now Chandler, he said he's done. He's done waiting on that fight with Conor. He's been on the sidelines for well over 2 years now. Well, not well over 2 years. By the time he fights Charles Oliveira, it'll be exactly 2 years and 5 days to the date since his last fight. And I understand why the fight was canceled in the first place. I know what all the experts were saying. They're like, hey, Conor hasn't fought in a long time. He doesn't want to go in with a broken pinky toe. I know it's not a lot. I've broken my pinky toe. I've known several people through my life, just in everyday life, that have broken their pinky toe. I've known multiple fighters, amateur fighters that have broken toes, big toes, pinky toes, and still fought. But I understand where they're coming from. But how long is that going to take you to heal that broken pinky toe? And to at least the point to where we can start training again. Has Conor been training again since then? No. What has he been doing? He's been partying it up at Sturgis with midget strippers, and allegedly been doing a whole pile of cocaine. Allegedly. That's not coming from me. That's coming from other people. I would never say something like that. So what's next for Conor? What fight makes sense for Conor McGregor at this point? He's been out for so long. I mean, his last 4 fights, so Khabib in 2018, Donald Cerrone in 2020, and then 2 fights with Dustin Poirier, both losses. And a lot of people are like, well, Poirier's kind of out of title contention now. Maybe he can come back and fight Poirier. I don't want to see that fight again. Let's look at the lightweight rankings. Armin Tagzurian's number 1. Then we got Charles Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier, Hooker, Chandler, Dariush, Gamrot, Fiziev, Holloway, Moicano, Benoit Saint-Denis, Rafael dos Anjos, Jalen Turner, and Paddy Pimblett. Which of those fights really makes sense to you? We could do Justin Gaethje, but he said he wants to take a year off. Paddy Pimblett would be a huge matchup. That would be insane, but I think Conor thinks Paddy's nowhere near the level of him as far as superstardom and all that. We could get into that later, but I don't see Conor McGregor coming back. And I know that Dana has said multiple times that he's going to be ready sometime by the beginning of next year. And who knows? I'm not in his camp. I don't know Conor personally. Maybe he really is working his ass off in the background, behind the scenes. And all we see from him is the occasional once or twice a month when he's at a Bare Knuckle FC card and it looks like he's all coked up. But who knows? Maybe that's just his downtime. We don't know. We don't know. Because to me, what would have made sense is him and Chandler fighting in Madison Square Garden in this big card. That would make sense to me, but I think Conor wants to headline, and that's just, I don't see how that's going to happen for a pay-per-view. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not paying for a pay unless we're putting like 2 other fights, 1 or 2 other title fights below Conor, or we stack the card like UFC 300, but I'm not paying for a Conor McGregor, Beneil Dariush headline pay-per-view. I'm just not going to do it. He's not the guy he once was. He's not the Mystic Mac, the guy who was calling a shot, the guy who fought Jose Aldo, the guy that fought even Habib when he lost, the guy that fought Eddie Alvarez, the guy that was fighting Nate Diaz, he's just not, to me, that big of a draw. And I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure he is just, I'm sure if he could headline against a potato and he'd probably do more pay-per-view buys than some of these current champions. But it's just, the level of which he was at is not the same anymore. The aura he used to have isn't the same anymore. It's just, everything about him is not the same. And who knows what's next for Conor? Who knows what he's going to be doing next? But that remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out in 2025.